Okay, well, thank you for coming, everybody. I see there's some people missing, but that's okay. I think today is going to be a fun day. This is what we're thinking of doing. You've all had your lunch. Let's take about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, or unless you guys are ready to go. I know your teams have put together some ideas and we're going to present, but is everybody ready to go, or do you want a little more time? We're ready to go? Okay. So, thinking this through, what I think we should do is this. We'll go around one at a time, and we'll start at this table here. We'll get your team leader or a couple people to come up and share your ideas with us. I think we should all move into the center instead of staying at the tables, and then we can listen to every group one at a time. But let's keep this really informal. Who's presenting from your group? Is it Don? Okay, Don, you can come up, present. Well, hold on a second. And bring anybody you want with us. And let's try to keep it to about a half hour per group. And then after you present, let's open up discussions. Maybe we'll have questions. Ask Don questions. Ask anybody in the group questions. If you feel Don forgot some of the ideas you threw around, please, every idea will count. Don't hold anything back. It's very informal. We're going to videotape it. Me and my brothers, my sister, the family, and maybe upper management will sit down and we'll look at it, and then we're going to follow up. We're going to go through a big change at the hotel here, hopefully November, December. We'll keep you informed. Maybe we'll get together again. We don't know. But I think this will be fun. Let's make it fun, and please ask questions. Let's interact and see if we can get some good ideas flowing. So Don, you want to start? Okay, Don will come up and maybe everybody make their way to the center. Yep. And hopefully we'll try to wrap up the room.
Good afternoon. Welcome to table number 4. Hopefully this will be somewhat entertaining and informative. First, I'd like to thank the DiCosimo family, or the boys and Anita, for having this idea that I think is long overdue. Part of what we were thinking about at our table was engaging more closely with the ownership, so that it flows down to every person on the staff and ultimately to the guests. Thanks to Heather Bugada, she was the one that recorded all of our notes from the original session and translated them into a PowerPoint. I wanted not to do PowerPoint because we've all seen and attended so many PowerPoint presentations, but it's a great guide and way to get us through. So what I wanted to do was try and start with a theme, an idea that about any hotel, what is the key ingredient and the foundation of success or non-success? And that starts really, as we all know, and occasionally forget, it starts with the guest, and it starts with, it should continue through with service on a continuing basis. So who is one of the best in the world? It's clearly the Four Seasons Hotel Company, or Ritz-Carlton, or Shangri-La, and Marriott too. But there's one individual in Toronto, Isidore Sharp, that started the Four Seasons Hotel Company. It was actually a motel on Jarvis Street in Toronto. He was an architecture student at Ryerson, but somehow or other he had this feeling that the key to success, there's no magic to it, but it's, as he says, the essence of our success is no secret. It comes down to one single principle that transcends time and geography, religion and culture. It's the golden rule. The simple idea that if you treat people well, the way you would like to be treated yourself, they will do the same. And that philosophy has been able to transcend through 80 hotels now worldwide, and they get the highest room rates, the highest occupancy, and the greatest guest satisfaction. So that's our theme that was reinforced through Isidore Sharp. And then, hey, Heather, if you could go to the next slide. So when we started our conversation, we didn't want to get bogged down in the details and so on, but you have to start somewhere. And following Joe's general outline, we began to talk about the overall look and feel of the place. And some of the ideas are just sort of scattered here at the moment. But we agree that brand name is very important. Customers buy mostly these days on brand. And so we believe the Hilton brand has improved dramatically over the last 5 years. We think that's important. Staff also feel the benefit of working for a brand and therefore a great feature for potential new hires, particularly in the corporate and the management side of things. If you're out interviewing for a Hilton hotel, it's different than an independent in most cases. Sales leads that are generated from Hilton as well. We then shifted our conversation to the rooms. We talked about, and a lot of the people working in the rooms department, we talked about more accessible rooms, more standard rooms with 2 queen and 1 king bed, plenty of suites on property already. They talked about the North Tower suites need to reduce the amount of glass as it is difficult to clean. Some of these issues I'm not really familiar with, but they were raised by our members. They talk about fridges in all of the rooms, finish the North Tower tiling that is not complete. North Tower is beginning to look worn. Mid-tower bathtubs, 23 to 30, require refinishing. We'll quickly go through that. A lot of this stuff you already know. Food and beverage outlets. Brasa restaurant is a dining experience. And the word experience continually should come through every aspect of this, not only for the customer, every point of contact with the customer, starting from the auto arrival to the garage to the entranceway, should be about the experience. Or how do we change the mood on arrival? Is it a friendly mood? Is it a pain in the ass mood if they're tired? What do we give them in terms of experience? Pranza, we're not sure, but it seemed to be universally accepted in our group that the space is too large, it's too cavernous, there's no sense of intimacy, and that it should be reduced in half, and perhaps think about or explore 2 different concepts. We did talk about an Asian fusion theme, as in a Mongolian barbecue, Eddie, and I think had come up with some ideas, had been to these places, and think it's something worth pursuing. Next. Spice. One of the things about Spice, it appears to be extremely successful. I enjoy it. It's convenient. It's very convenient. But one of the things that I hear customers talk about is what do you have locally? And there are 4 or 5 current breweries that I'm aware of in Niagara, Oast and others, Silver Smith, I think it is. So we would like to suggest that somehow or other the food and beverage folks look into the craft beer, healthier food options. Really is, with all due respect, Roadhouse food. It is what it is, but it's tasty and it's salty and it's great. But we'll leave that one open. Mercado, we discussed the yogurties, rethink the yogurties, possible alternative for winter. The ideas we had in the front of the building perhaps was a brewery on a small scale that is visible to the street. Street exposure, street activity is extremely important, and the more we reach out to the street, particularly when you think of the casino and the in-season visitation, the more we can do to lure people in from outside and also keep the people in the hotel inside is to our benefit. Mist is a challenge, but we went all over the place in the conversation there. Ideas came up with executive lounge for gold and diamond members, sushi bar. One area that I've always talked about is access. There's no easy way to get to it if you go outside the little elevator and so on and so forth. But it's a beautiful room. We're just not exactly sure what to do with it. Grand Cafe, the ability to work within the same outlet and not have to pack everything they do each time. Labor-intensive problems. Buffet location. Promotional material is something to brighten the buffet line as guests are waiting. Amenities, conference, update and improve. Expand the current ballroom out to the parking lot to accommodate approximately 200 people. One of the other groups, which includes people from our corporate sales, I think will speak more directly to the concept or idea of the original concept was a much greater conference facility and so on. I think that thinking has changed, but I'll leave that to others to expand on and define. We think that the space here can be refreshed, upgraded, decor ideas that make it brighter, marketing push to increase midweek business, update our technology such as Wi-Fi. In my own readings of hotels, constantly stress currently Wi-Fi should not be a profit center. That is now an expected amenity in most rooms. May or may not be a contentious issue, but clearly Wi-Fi is, by most people's measurements these days, is not a profit center. Continue the relationship with the casino and convention center for the larger business. Again, the other groups will speak to that, but I'm encouraged that the relationship with the casino in this hotel is really maturing, and that the bigger and conferences we sort of have to give up to the convention center, but really our sweet spot is 200 to 400, and that's between here and or with the casino, so it's a great asset. The lobby, we are not sure on the designs for the new lobby, so we just sort of mentioned that the new location of the lobby and front office to the existing is a good idea. That was just a general statement in the absence of details. In terms of the pool, one of the ideas was going back to the original concept where we tend to, or try to separate the adults from the children's pool. You can't do that all the time, obviously, but certainly for some corporate guests who really want to go and swim and enjoy that without the interference or the integration with family and kids. Maybe that's something we can work on. Theme pool for the kids, wave pool, these are just ideas. I go back to the original Howard Field's concept of a Caribbean reef pool. We had 3 different areas. We had kids, we had something else, and we had almost a corporate area where there might have been a snorkel diving and that kind of thing for the corporate guests. Spa, definitely something that is not currently available, and something that we are to aspire to become bigger and better is an absolute necessity. We did suggest a babysitting service for staff and guests, possibly a third party or a company. So general comments. The entire agreement is, we believe strongly that this hotel is a great hotel. We believe the staff is a great staff. But we think that given the foundation that has been established by the DiCosimo family, the brand, the building, and so on, it's quite remarkable, to be honest. And I think the staff, if we just try to move everybody, including myself, to a little better, to a higher level, so that our occupancy and our targets are met and exceeded. We think we are a 4.5-star hotel. We have some issues. We think what needs to be looked at is the crush time and check-in. And can we offer some type of giveaways? How can we work with the system to get our SALT scores up, track the problem areas, improve the decor we're bringing the outside in. The decor should be fresh and not artificial, and possible showcase arrangement for local artists. Those are ideas. There seems to be some reluctance to continue with artificial flowers, and in certain high-traffic areas, perhaps think about fresh flowers. Not the CY extent as in Queen's Landing and Pillar Post, but a little blend of artificial and fresh. Reservation office location is very difficult. It's not a pleasant environment. It's not an effective workings due to size and acoustics. Possible convenient retail space we should add, such as photo printing, batteries, chargers, but I do think some of those items are included in the gift shop. Continue to source our business and track where it is coming from so we can target these areas. Do things that other properties within the city are not already doing. Be the first, be different. Social media staff member to keep up, as this area is big now. There was some suggestion that the area of social media could be increased in terms of staffing. That it's difficult to track at this time, difficult to measure. And if you can't measure, how do you program for different results? Have an executive groups that meets regularly to discuss budgets, etc. I think that's something that should be continued on a quarterly basis, that everyone gets together, airs their ideas, their beefs, their complaints, their suggestions. More integration of ownership and senior management and all staff. More specialized staff, maintenance, for example. Connection between departments. Not that this was really detailed to any great extent, but we're not sure that, for example, marketing and sales is as effective as it might be. In other words, we're not sure, we don't know the answer to this, whether sort of a big, high-energy marketing and sales area where corporate knows what social media is doing and marketing and so on and so forth. So there's more of a focused area there. Again, we're not sure, maybe it is working to the extent that it can. Communication between departments. And at this time, I'm going to call on Lindsay, who's in our housekeeping area. And she really got a little carried away in our meeting and some ideas and so on, but in that housekeeping, is perhaps one of the top 5 departments in any hotel. I would like Lindsay to come forward and have a few comments. Of course, any other members of my group would be more than happy to do that.
One thing that I think this hotel really needs to work on is the communication between the departments. One thing that I feel our department really succeeds in is the communication. We've got a rather large department, and everybody seems to be, from my eyes, on top of a lot of things. We all talk to one another. We have meetings every day, like supervisors and upper management. We also have our huddles that we do with our room attendants on a weekly basis to make sure that they're also informed. But like I was telling the group before, I think now that needs to expand to the other departments as well. So,
Something about
oh, like for an example, sorry if there's maintenance people here.
Hold the mic a
But
little
it's
closer.
just a good example because we deal with maintenance a lot, and same with front desk. Closer? Okay, for example, the email communication is working so far. If we could just get a good example, I guess. Okay, yeah. For example, we will have just finished cleaning a room, and let's say that it's a VIP, a supervisor has gone up and inspected it, and maintenance now needs that room to do some preventative maintenance. Or I hear now they are also installing the shower handles inside the rooms, inside the showers. Maybe they don't realize that that's a VIP, and they need to communicate with us and say, can we have this floor, or can we have this room? Something along those lines. That's just an example. But again, the communication between the departments, I think, is very necessary.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks, Lindsay. I had to ask the very shy Gail if she wanted to come up and hopefully say a few words, because she's the first contact with the guests at the front desk. And you can give her a little encouragement, ladies and gentlemen. Hey! Contestant number 3. Well, this isn't the voice. So what we really want so because when you arrive, then the first person you see, or the first group of people you see, are the folks at the front desk. And since the, what was his name, the guy that left? What can't remember? John?
Hold it close.
I don't really know. I guess I can only just say from what I've experienced over the last 5 years, I think the most important thing, I'm sorry, I'm surprised you couldn't hear me. Anyway, I think the most important thing is preparation, training, getting people, all your staff thinking the way that you do. It's been a struggle, especially when you have, go through a week like we just had, where it doesn't seem like, every guest is satisfied, every guest is happy, and we almost have to accept the fact that sometimes we're not going to be able to correct the problem. But I think training is a big, big thing here, motivation. And when we talk about communication between departments, if one department doesn't know what the other department is doing, we have no idea where to go next. If we have a problem when we're dealing with it, but somebody else has come in contact and they're trying to do it, it just doesn't work for us. So I think that the biggest thing that we're seeing here at the front desk is that, we have a great product. we sell, we have a great hotel, we have a lot of great rooms. We just have to polish up on a lot of our service from the second that they see them coming out of their door, of their car to the front desk, the greet, and concentrate on what we don't have to offer and concentrate mostly on what we do. You know, we do have our Wi-Fi that's pretty well solved our problem here, so it really isn't an issue anymore with regards to guest Wi-Fi. You do have that option to have free Wi-Fi at the front desk, so that problem has been resolved recently. So it's a good thing. That was a big complaint. Our rooms, I don't think we need any more suites necessarily. My suggestion was more of our standard king and queens. We're filling them. It's not an issue that way for most of the time, so it's good. And to correct the little issues that we have throughout the hotel, whether it be maintenance, plumbing, housekeeping issues, front desk service, it all comes together. If we grow too quickly and we don't fix those little problems, we're going to have a lot of catch up to do. So that's my opinion. I really believe that service and training is our answer for a lot of these things before we expand.
I know I'm under the clock here. How much time is we got? A few minutes?
Go as long as you want.
You have another 11 minutes.
11 minutes. Okay. Oh. Well, one of our important pages is not making it onto the screen, and that's the 51st floor. And parking and valet, two very important situations. Since this was produced, I've also spoken with others and done some more review on the 51st floor suggestions. What we came up with a couple of weeks ago was leasing the space to a higher-end company for product display or broadcasting. We talked about various names of Rogers Broadcasting and Google and some others, but condos or apartments, quite frankly, I don't think that's a saleable activity in Niagara Falls, but higher-end guest rooms, smaller in size, conference or hospitality level. I'll come back to this in a minute, but parking valet, consider pedestrian bridge from rooftop along with elevator. For those more on the design and facilities can understand that. Relocate valet and motor coach entrance to Stanley Avenue to eliminate congestion on Fallsview Boulevard. More, wow, this is in capital letters on arrival. If you do the tourist experience, you leave the QEW, you drive along Stanley Avenue, it's a pretty ugly street to be honest, and you arrive at Fallsview Boulevard and you start to experience the Hilton Hotel at the auto entrance. From that point on is when the experience of the Hilton begins. The first impressions are always lasting impressions. I think we can continue to improve the entrance area. The tunnel and the wind is a difficult problem. I'm not sure you can overcome it. But if you really park your car, you really have a hard time understanding, is that the entrance? Is that the entrance? There's no sign that says welcome. There's no sort of friendly entrance to greet you after a lousy 2-hour drive from Toronto. The kids are crying in the back of the car. You're saying, we're here finally. And so the point of entry is your first impression. And that's when we need to begin to change the mood. We begin to say, welcome, you're here, we'll take care of you, have a great time. Thank you very much for coming. So then as they come through the entrance area, we think that could be brightened up a little bit. Maybe there's something in crush areas. Then they enter into the main lobby area. And one of the things that I keep talking about is, particularly in the crush areas, have some people circulating, offering free cookies, water and lemon or something to that effect. And one thing I'm always strong on, and Joe I think agrees with me, is the effect of music. And sometimes last week during the busy period, the lobby was absolutely dead quiet. There wasn't any sense of friendly music, whatever genre you like. And I think that music has to be something that's friendly and fits the mood of the day, whether it's early afternoon or evening. But music is one of the 5 senses, and it's a very powerful influence on how you feel. And then from that point forward, their stay here at the Hilton. This little sense of wow on arrival sets the mood, sets the tone for how the guest is going to feel. Try to control the environment in the main entrance, which I know is a challenge from the cold and the wind. Relocate staff parking, as these spots can be making money. Ingress and egress is a major concern. Maybe if you go to the last page. So one of the areas, I'm just going to look at that for a moment and speak to, we were challenged to be, there to be different. And one of the things that I keep coming back to is Niagara Falls has sent to the world some pretty interesting people. They either went to A.M. Meyer High School, they went to Niagara Falls Collegiate, they have deep roots here in the city, they've gone on to international acclaim. And one area that I think we can do is to link ourselves more closely with Toronto across all media, whether it's from here at the hotel school there, we're delighted to offer up all kinds of courses and inducements. So I'm going to wrap up by some other comments. We talked about what is a hotel. A hotel is really just a building in a nice location. It's what happens inside and out to deliver that special experience which beats price, cost, and triggers a return visit and powerful word-of-mouth advertising. First impressions are lasting impressions. And that starts with how do we first reach the customer, whether it's through social media, print advertising, internet marketing. And we have to advertise the hotel and what I call the buy decision. You've got all kinds of choices from Marriott to Sheraton. Why would they pick the Hilton? How is that message delivered to them? How is it convincing and persuasive? It must be appealing, powerful, easy, and quick. The arrival to me is really crucial and something that we can change. We don't need big plans, we can fix that. Change the mood, friendly faces, music, atmosphere, public areas, dare to be different, flowers, uniforms, painting, video walls. More video walls of Niagara. As people say that they can see a video of Niagara on the lake, the wine, there's the horn blower, all these kind of things, and say, wow, I forgot about all that stuff. It's a great place. We're going to come back. Lobby, I'd love to see better music here. I often would like you to consider live music. TT's son is a great pianist from 4 to 7, can be sitting out there as people arrive. We used to have clowns here for the kids, doing the little balloon toys and all that kind of stuff. Maybe we should revisit that again. Marketing, again, part of the conversation talked about a unified approach, a more targeted approach, so everyone understands which each department, because we're all trying to reach a customer, be it a meeting planner, be it an individual, be it a sports group, whatever it is. Then the other thing is measurements. How do we measure what we're doing? Is it effective? So we need some way to measure. The game plan then going forward to me starts with a simple thing, fix the fixables. You know, if you can go around and say, okay, we're going to have a 10-step program, we're going to do this, this, this. All of which you can see and we can fix. Marketing, review the approach to teams' relationships. 51st floor, I want to come back to that. We spend a lot of time with that then and we spend a lot of time with it now. And the good news is there are examples that exist in Toronto. My suggestion is we create it until the big idea falls out of the sky. We think in an event space, which means dressing it sort of like this room, you know, appropriate walls and ceiling, but nothing more than that. So that could be used as an event center for corporates, fashion, film, broadcast. A great example is One King West, which I know you can't see from holding a piece of paper. But this exists in Toronto. One King West is sort of a space. And so it's a great attraction for galas, product launch, weddings, private parties. Another example is Carloop in Toronto. These attractive spaces are much in demand. And I think a wedding, for example, up there in a proper space would be a knockout. I don't think price would be an issue. So there are examples. So our conclusion was, in the absence of anything else that really can work, can be serviced. We avoid the issues with the presidential suites, but an event space of quality, style, and class. So that was sort of where our efforts ended. We talk about management. I think the idea of bringing the management and ownership closer together with periodic quarterly reviews is really important. I applaud Joe and his brothers for coming up with this concept. I think we need to game plan a little better, perhaps for crush periods together, from parking to front desk to everybody in this game plan, so we've got to figure it out. I think we need to ensure appropriate compensation for staff from all levels. Maintenance is another issue, whether we need to add more maintenance people. I
think we need a better, stronger alignment with Hilton Corporation. And those who currently work with Hilton may not agree, but I don't really know the answer to that. And one of the examples was to visit some of the best ranked Hilton properties in sort of a nearby drivable or airport access area. We talked to Anna about the very different idea. My word, as I said before, was magnetize the Hilton. If we can bring together those people that add a certain cachet to the Hilton, because we're doing a lot of things extremely well. It's a great building. We can tune it up a little better, make it sexier, make it bigger, make it better. So our targets then become, what are our
Can you hear me okay? Right, I'm recovering from the motion. So what we're going to do is sort of walk you through some emotions and what we think the experience should be at the Hilton Hotel. First of all, right off the bat, we thought it was important to keep the Hilton name right now, but we felt it important to have a name attached to it. So whatever you would choose for the name by Hilton, that idea. So as the new concept gets rolling down the road a little bit longer, you could drop the Hilton name eventually and still have a recognizable name with the property. We still feel at this point that the Hilton name still is a decision maker for people. So when they're thinking about coming down here and they're looking at all the choices they have, they still go, oh, it's Hilton, so let's choose that because that represents class and elegance, and there's a certain experience and expectation that comes along with that name. So we feel it was important to keep that for now. We feel that guests will pay more for that Hilton name and the Hilton experience and the class and the elegance that goes with it. But we also have the expectation that the service should be seamless from the time that people walk in the door to the time they leave. And we will concur with the first group about fixing any current problems and not bringing them forward with the new concept. So we do agree with that. And we expect the staff to service our service levels to be to perfection to our guests. So first off, our recommendation, right off the bat when you're arriving to the hotel, we had the same thought as the first group. The garage, the whole area is dark, it's gloomy. There's no access from the parking lot to the hotel. People are carrying bags down these dark, gloomy, dirty stairwells. It's not a really good first impression. People want to be wowed right off the bat, like they've arrived. Oh, wow, look how nice it is. So the first impression we're setting off is not the greatest. We're already making them in sort of a grumpy mood because of the way that they had to get from the parking lot until the hotel. And we thought maybe an entrance way from Stanley going forward, so I don't know how we would refigure that, but that was our initial operation recommendation. As far as meeting rooms, we agreed that we do need a new meeting room, but she was thinking another one about this size or a little bit bigger. Nothing as big as the convention center, to continue using the convention center for those types of meeting outlets, but also we thought they should have access for the staff to use because there's a lot of problems where they have to walk across the mezzanine for coats and stuff like that. So we thought that they needed a back access. We thought it was a good idea to have outdoor deck off the meeting areas for smoking, to get some smoke instead of having to go outside to the front of the hotel. That doesn't look really great. This outdoor deck area could also be used for a function for the group, so barbecues or parties on this deck as another option as for dinner. For dinner as well. The pool, we didn't think the pool should be located on the main level of the hotel because people are walking through the front office with wet feet. It looks terrible. Some people shouldn't be wearing bathing suits that they have on and stuff. So it just doesn't have a good impression when people are showing up at the hotel. We thought this should be away from the front office because we thought that there should be a separate adult and family pool area. The family pool area could have maybe a different vehicles, maybe a splash pool instead of a water slide, so you don't need lifeguards, or maybe other things for the kids to do in the pool area. This would be totally separate from what the adult pool was. The adult pool, this area would also be a workout area, gym, sauna, steam room, deck, even a bar, access to that pool area. And it could also be used for an executive floor level for the dining guests. This is an area that the children would not be allowed. We agree that spa is a #1 priority here, some sort of thing for the guests as opposed to sending the business out the door. The rooms, we didn't think that we should have more rooms. We just should take the current rooms and make them the best they could possibly be. We really thought the wow factor when you walk in the room, very classy, very elegant, maybe amenities and things ahead of their time. I don't know, Frank, if you want to pop up here just quickly and talk about your little tutu. But, no? Okay. But like the idea, like he said, the tutu, where it's a certain type of washroom that nobody else has, or, just have amenities in the room that are in the future, that are ahead of the time. So people are going, wow, look at what they have in this hotel compared to the other hotels. One of the rooms that we get a lot of complaints about are the no-view rooms. Yeah, they are what they are, but maybe instead of trying to change them in a way, like who's staying in these rooms? Are they casino guests? Maybe adding some sort of link to the casino so they can see what's going on in the casino, so they forget about the fact that there's no view in the room because there's something else that's captivating them while they're in the room. Or there's people that always ask for adjoining rooms, maybe making these adjoining rooms, so then all of a sudden they stop thinking about the no view part and they have something that they want. So we're just taking the feature that they hate and replacing it with something that they want. F&B. Grand Cafe, this was a huge thing for our group. They want their own separate restaurant. They want to extend the breakfast hour. It would have, to avoid long wait times, ability to organize the restaurant better, can keep the restaurant open longer, better positioning in the buffet for easier access to the whole restaurant, a new design for the cashier counter to better serve our guests, new tables that don't have tablecloths and are a better tabletop for the high volume. After breakfast, this could be used as, like you see the Starbucks. It's that sort of an idea where people are lounging around in chapters, reading a book or reading the paper. This could, in the afternoon, when it's not a breakfast dining area, could be a R&R time, someplace where the Hilton honors people just to lounge around, maybe watch something on TV, read the paper, and they can still get coffee and other things that they might want to grab over there. Brazza we thought was very successful, maybe adding a monthly or weekly food item like seafood as like a special item. Add an outdoor patio with a connection to the bar for drinks and desserts. So when people have finished dinner, they can still go to the bar area and have their dessert there, or they can arrive earlier while they're waiting for the table. They can have some drinks at the patio before being assigned to the table. We also thought maybe the iPad menus at the tables to help them decide on what drinks they want to have or what wine they want to have with their dinner. And for the watermark, people love the view and the atmosphere. We thought that's pretty successful the way it is. The Mist Lounge, we like the idea that you had, Joe, with the spiral staircase going up, but maybe having something like a sushi bar or an oyster bar or a chef's table up there for that location. And we thought that the watermark needed some sort of a signature dish. Any big fancy restaurants seem to have one dish that everybody goes for, and we don't have something like that for the watermark. So the Mercado works well for guests, but could use a little bit more selections of food. And Spike's guests do like it, but we thought maybe having a larger bar, maybe an elevated square bar. Linda had shown us pictures of the Netherland Plaza in Cincinnati, where they have a raised bar and it's square. And people are around that bar constantly like socializing, but there's also people dancing. And the music's more jazzy and atmosphere is a little bit less like sports bar-ish and more dancing and elegant. And Pronto, we'll get to that because we will look at the new concept with Pronto. So I want everybody to take a look at this picture. This is the emotion and the feel that we want you to get. Not everybody can afford to go to Tuscany, but how many people would like to have a Tuscany experience? We feel it's very important, not to depend on the falls anymore, but every aspect of this hotel, you're having an experience. You already have that with the Watermark, with the view. You have that with the Brazza, it's very successful. But but for that experience to flow right through the hotel. So in our little walk through Tuscany, it's going to be like a marketplace. How many people go specifically to downtown Toronto just to go visit the market down there? So we want to have that idea in Niagara Falls. And what we would have is like fresh bread and meats and cheeses and pizzas and even a small Italian restaurant with real authentic Italian cooking. If anybody's been to Panera Breads, the Panera Breads idea with those sandwiches and fresh bread and everything. Healthy choices, but in this little walkway, because that's what the hotel's going to look like. It's that walkway we just showed you. And in this walkway, there's going to be wine tasting, maybe guest chefs having a little chef demos. So places for people to pick up souvenirs to bring back home, gift shops, they can buy flowers there. They can decorate their own room for Valentine's Day. They can buy the flowers down there, they can buy the card that they want for their wife and put it in the room for themselves. They'll have seating for guests, for people that want to just sit and have a nice Italian dinner. The fountain that you had in that picture, Joe, at the beginning of the opening with the garden, well, we're incorporating this into the entrance of the hotel. We like that idea, but instead of having it outside, why not have it inside? And so you're going from that flow around the fountain to your Tuscan walkway through all the ways where people can grab food, they can grab bread, they can grab meats, they can grab cheese, they can take it with them down to the falls area. They can have picnics. You can picture people from the float points going, did you smell that right when we were walking down the street? Let's go grab some stuff and bring it back to our room. So we're getting the money from everybody, but they might be staying elsewhere.
Standard actually, are you suggesting after council?
For that whole downtown area, the downstairs area, and actually spreading the area out to the sidewalk. And so when people are walking down the sidewalk, they look in the windows and they're going, why is everybody walking around down there? What are they looking at? What is all going on? They get some fun. And so they would come in off the streets when they're walking down the street to say, maybe grab something to eat or maybe just check it out or go shopping. We like the idea when we were watching the thunderstorm display. We like that idea as well. The problem with that is you have all these people standing outside your hotel. Why not have something inside the hotel and bring them inside the hotel? So maybe something's going on in the walls or in the music in this Tuscan idea that we have. Okay. So I probably touched on most of this. People can shop for items to take home with them on their way out. They can pick up some stuff. Who doesn't react to the smell of fresh bread? Maybe you guys could have your own wine and have wine tasting downstairs in this little avenue. And like I said, with guest chefs doing demonstrations. So these are sort of some ideas of looks and feels of some food, like homemade Italian soup and the fresh bread and the fresh pastas and the sandwiches that people can grab and go. And this was sort of an idea of like a bar that has still have that Tuscan feel, but it really gives you that warm. But this whole concept would have to flow throughout the hotel. One thing that especially Judy said that really came to mind when we were doing this brainstorming is how choppy the hotel is. There's not a flow from when you walk in the door until you leave. Like we have 3 towers, and all 3 towers are kind of different. Like everything's very choppy. There's not a flow from the beginning to the end. Our idea of 54 first floor is like a Club 51. This would be your executive level. I would have a lounge, the spa, the adult pool area perhaps, an observation deck, an express elevator going up there, protein juice bar, a fitness room with that looks out at the view from that 51st floor. A room similar to 1614, very presidential looking. So that would be our executive level, and that would be a level that kids would not be allowed. And our final one is keep the guests in the hotel spending their money with us at our spa, at our food locations, at our whatever fitness center, as opposed to sending them elsewhere to spend their money elsewhere, like we are currently. And we like the idea of the light shows, maybe laser shows. We like the idea of the theater big enough for large acts. Maybe that could be used as a movie theater during the daytime for families that are in-house. That's it.
Thanks, Andrew. Just want to add a couple of things Sandra kind of touched upon. We really believe if we're talking about a major financial expansion, having a theme that runs throughout the hotel, and she talked about Judy's concept, it was sort of chopped, and that's understandable because there was different expansions at different times. But we really feel that this theme should run throughout. We like the Tuscan theme on one end of it. We talked a lot about having an overall general theme of water. You know, people come to Niagara Falls for the water, and we thought water could be something that could blend all the different elements of the hotel. Maybe there's a grand falls fountain when they first walk in. Maybe each restaurant has waterfalls and water fountains and water themes, but have that concept of water blend throughout the hotel so that people really embrace that when they come in. Also, we talked a lot about, well, once we have the restaurants happening the way that we want them, how do we maximize what they do? And we know that on fireworks nights, the hotel rates go through the roof. And I know, Vince, you and I have talked about dealing with the parks, maybe getting fireworks 7 nights a week, and I don't know whether that's doable or not. But we thought about the slideshow you showed us, Joe, wonderful concept, and that would be seen from all of our restaurants, so we love that. Or maybe putting on our own fireworks show. It doesn't have to be as grand as what they do, but if we could shoot it up between us and the casino, everybody from our restaurant would see it with the falls in the background. Or maybe as a third option, the casino on the American side. You know, they shoot up fireworks, I think it's July 3rd every year, and we see it great from the watermark because it shoots up. They're outside the auspices of New York State, so you could probably work a deal with them for much cheaper fireworks, get a few other people involved. It would still benefit us with the view, so we wanted to toss that idea out there. And then the other thing that I just wanted to add is that, I really believe that in everything that we do, we should really be becoming a destination event for people when they're here. And whatever we do with all of our restaurants, we were talking about at the table today, that it's really important with the millennials, this generation of people, that they have to be experiences. You know, kids in their 20s, which is going to be our future, some of them are our current clients, are going to be our future. They didn't grow up the way we did. You know, they grew up with devices in their hands. There was a great study done recently where they tested all these millennials, and they all think that they can multitask. But when they tested them, they found out that they can do 5 things at once. They can't do any of them well. And so their entire way of connecting with the world is having sensory overload, and they need that. And to sit in a restaurant that's only about food makes them fidgety. So we really think that entertainment should work. And that's why Plaza works so well, one of the reasons anyways. It's terrific food, but it's a great presentation. And one last thing I just wanted to add from my perspective as it pertains to the watermark. Whatever we do with the watermark, and I love the new price fix menu, I think that's going over well. But when we send people outside the hotel, the #1 reason that they go elsewhere is they want the very best steak in town. And I think we should add that to the menu. We should have undoubtedly the very best, better than Ruth Chris, right? The best steak. Doesn't matter what you charge for it, steak people will pay for it. But that's one of the reasons they're leaving us, because there is clientele that wants that like very, very best steak. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well done, that was great. I like that steak idea. That ties into the feature. Maybe we can tie both in. She said something about my feature. But any questions for these guys? I thought that was well done. I guess with Don's group, we heard more about the operations and the little details that are so important. And then Sandra and Frank came through with the whole theming and the overlook, the whole look and feel of the hotel. When we first started conceptualizing this with the Howard Fields concept that I put up there, it started with that, Sandra. The whole Tuscan look and trying to magnetize ourselves and the experience and giving the guests something they really can't get anywhere else. And then, 2 things. like you said, Frankie, you expand at different times, and to trying to keep your eye on the ball, you lose it. And we did along the way. And I heard somebody say the hotel was bipolar. Outside, you got this Tuscan theme going, and inside, you got these big purple curtains. And what happened? And what happened is life. I mean, you go through it, and you think you're doing the right thing, but I can't emphasize enough that we did go through it after refinancing. We have an opportunity to get it right. And great idea. It's right up my alley. I love the whole idea of bringing that theme right through. Maybe not right into the rooms, but maybe right into the hallways. All the hallways are different, and I guess the question is, before we go to the third group, because I really like what I'm hearing, what does it mean to the hotel? We theme this thing, we go spend the $10 million, and we make it flow. Does it really get us that extra rate? Because that's what it boils down to. Does it get us that extra demand? Is there people out there willing to pay for it? That's how you're going to convince us. Yes.
That was part of our point, is, people are going to pay more for experiences, right? You don't have to, give them a drop in the bottom rate. They're willing to pay more. Like, look at some of the prices they pay to come here. It's ridiculous. You know? That's a lot of money.
That's called field management, not perfect purpose.
But also, how do you get people that look on here to come here? Well, they also, if they travel to Toronto to go visit that marketplace, or they'll travel for an experience. They don't necessarily have to stay in the hotel. But you want to bring them for the experience.
Well, I guess the question is this. Niagara Falls calls itself, and there's people coming, and they got choices. They got a lot of choices now. We got some nice hotels. And with the raise of hands, just from your gut, if we spent the money, and we really separated ourselves, and we themed the hotel, and on the internet, when people looked at it, they'd see us different. We bring the water features throughout, and we really position ourselves that we're different. We're not a Marriott, we're not a Sheraton, we're a Hilton, but more. Tell me, is there people willing to pay $50 more than you're paying now to come to this hotel with the raise of hands?
Yes.
For sure?
Yep.
Because that's $50 is a lot of money in 1,000 rooms. And that's how you convince us and our finance guy, Gore, and the banks. That's what we wrestle with. And that's why over the years we've gone back and forth. But this is great stuff. We'll get there. Any other questions, sir? Would you say, Christina?
No, I was turning to
I just said, as the hotel stands right now,
No.
$50 is not, yeah. You gotta do a lot more. A lot of things here, not just construction, upgrades and more. A lot more.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of that. We'll figure it all out. But if we do them all, is there a customer out there that'll pay $50 more?
There's a lot of people in Toronto that make good incomes and they'll spend it. You just gotta give them a product.
Because this is what we're wrestling with right now. And we're gonna make the leap. Are we ready? Remember when I started, are we ready? Hopefully we all are, and you're gonna help us get there. Any other questions before I call out? Oh, go ahead.
I think what we're all in agreement with most things, what we were suggesting was that in this interim period when you're figuring out, we make that big decision, go back to the Tuscan mega cost thing. We said, let's tune the place up. Let's spend that year, see what happens, look at our ADR, look at our occupancy, get some measuring as we do these things like parking garages, great idea. And all of these things, because it's going to take a little bit of time. You don't want to leap into that expense on stage 2. So I thought that what we were trying to come up with, fix the fixables. Add a few items.
No question, I understand.
And check it out.
For sure, it's twofold. You need, for sure, before you go spend that kind of money, make sure you're doing what you're doing. And, any other questions for that team, guys? Well, very well done, thank you.
Started, we're good to go. Basically what we've done here, and there's a few more notes that I have that you don't have in your paper. What we'd like you to do is, as we're going through this, if you all of a sudden think of something, please write it down and then give it to us, and we'll add it to our notes. That was the reason why we gave you the paper, so you could actually expand on what we've already done. With the water fountain, we like the idea of drawing people. The question is, will it produce money? Having the water fountain, the show outside, we had a taste of it with Jay Cochran, but the next step is, how do you get those people that are outside to come inside and spend money in your building? Jay Cochran, did a really good job for Watermark, for instance, and it kind of brought people up there when they advertised and knew what was happening. But all the ones on street level, it really, I think, it deterred. It took away from Bronzo or Mac Grill at the time, and it took our guests out of the restaurant. Well, we got to hurry up and finish dinner. We're going to go inside and watch the show. Well, now they didn't stay inside or come back. So we lost people on our ground level. So how do we do a show that both will attract people to the area as well as bring them inside and spend money? For the Hilton brand, stay or not, we're all in agreement that we need to stay with the Hilton brand. Hilton Honors, we felt at our table, is a great promotional use for advertising. It's the second best loyalty program of all hotel brands, and we think it's underutilized at our hotel. We could use it more, maybe on our group corporate side, benefits of that, our social marketing. Our executive lounge is requested by Hilton members on a regular basis. We need to do this, and we think that we could also use it for other VIPs. Not everyone that's a VIP in our hotel is a Hilton Honors. We have, the president of Ford coming. He may not be at the Honors, but he's here for the board meeting that we're having, and maybe that would be a great time to also have him be in this executive lounge. For the theme, Vegas is driven by gaming, but we think that our theme needs to, like everyone else is saying, be throughout the entire property. The bipolar example is perfect. So it's really broken up right now. We need to continue with that theme. Do we want a resort look and feel? Yes, do want an experience. That's the difference. Every hotel on this Ballview Boulevard has, when we built the Watermark 15 years ago, there was 2 Ballview restaurants, us and Skyline, and one of them in Ultimate. Now there's the Keg's got Falls View, and Canyon Creek behind us at the casino has Falls View. Everybody's got Falls View. So Falls View just isn't enough anymore. It's a whole experience. So everyone has Falls View rooms. There's a lot more Falls View rooms than 15 years ago when we built. Our staff. We think our staff needs to be a little bit more consistent with the great product we are selling. The Make It Right program is going in the right direction. We've got the Blue Energy Committee, which is going in the right direction. We just feel that our staff don't feel pride at working here. This is the #1 hotel in Niagara Falls. But we honestly think there's staff that just do feel like this is the #1 hotel in Niagara Falls. They feel, they're not proud to be here. And our staff should really feel proud to work at this hotel. We've all stayed at resorts. We all know when you stay at a resort, you go down south and you stay at an all-inclusive. You will not pass a staff member anywhere in that all-inclusive without them recognizing you and saying hello. It's that comfort level and the happiness they feel when they work there. That's, I think, what we think is missing here, this property. Our ROI, basically, we're not sure about if we build it, they will come. Okay, the same numbers pretty much are coming to Niagara Falls year after year. I don't think it's any more. Can't justify getting more money. This was one of the things we talked about. Do we spend more money to make more money? We're still not 100% sure. I think we need to do more examining of that. I honestly, personally think that if we build a super quality product, we add that mix in of the great staff, the difference will be there. Customers, just like you see at Rasa, over the years, Rasa has gained so much word of mouth that people will spend that money to come. We started at $39, we're soon to be $49 at Rasa, and it hasn't deterred anyone from coming to Rasa. Okay, and the numbers actually this year are starting to climb again. Price went up and the numbers are going up. In general, the same questions were asked 15 years ago. Okay, the downtime slower season is changing. What that means is 15 years ago when we opened this hotel, and I'll still remember, it was May long weekend, Labor Day long weekend, it was Niagara Falls back then. That was our busy time. And I still remember the conversation I had with Joe. When I first started here, he's like, you're going to work 6 days a week from May to Labor Day. He goes, the rest of the year you're going to work 3 or 4 days a week. I'm still waiting for the 3 or 4 days a week. So our shoulder season has just gotten that much bigger. Corporate, our February, we've had great Februaries. Our March is going to be a pretty good March. But April, May, June, and that September, October, November has become really gangbuster months for us. The local market. Okay, this is one of those windbreakers. How to attract the local markets. We honestly think we're not utilizing our local market enough. And local to us, all Niagara region. Grimsby, okay, even Buffalo can be considered a local market. Local advertising for complimentary parking when dining at our property. I think that message needs to get out more. North Tower. This is when we're getting into our rooms now. Front room is too dark. Okay, the express elevator would be good as a staff elevator. I know I don't take staff elevators in the North Tower very much ever, but we have a lot of staff that say the amount of productivity that is lost by people waiting for elevators is really huge in this hotel. You could wait 20 minutes for an elevator sometimes. So they're just standing there, losing their time, and I see Stuart putting his hand up.
I've waited 15 minutes almost every day.
Yeah, so when you think about just the productivity that's lost because a staff member can't get somewhere, add that up for 10 times you take the elevator a day, times 15, it's 150 minutes of productivity in that day that you've lost, where you could be taking care of our guests at that time. Yeah, food getting cold, absolutely. Right now, we quote 45 minutes to an hour for a simple order, glassware for a guest. Mid-tower, bathtubs need to be replaced. Space issue for linens. When are mattresses due to be changed? That's just question mark December 31st. That was a question that came up that mattresses are going to need to be changed fairly soon in this hotel. South Tower, we just put again the mattresses for December 31st. Overall, for the rooms, premium coffee makers should be provided in guest rooms. Ice machines need to work. I just put a comment here on all floors, all towers. All rooms need to have a mini fridge. This is something housekeeping really stipulated. And you know what, these days, the day and age of medications and people bringing in, everyone brings wine or some type of liquor to this hotel every night. That's not going to change. You're not going to ever stop that. And the fridges in the rooms are something everybody asks for, but unfortunately we can't give it. Rooms to be better maintained, chipped furniture, fireplaces that need to work. Change glasses on furniture to new style. Change glass on furniture. I guess for housekeeping, Julie, if you want to stand up and just mention.
Yeah, what we were talking about there is the tops that we have in the South Tower and the Mid Tower are far surpass what we have in the North Tower right now. They're easier to maintain, so our feeling is it would be a good idea to have that on the South.
Okay, so again, consistency throughout the hotel. Suggested that microwaves be placed on each floor by the ice machine to alleviate guests going to Pronzo to warm up fluid bottles, etc. Right now, we have Pronzo as a designated area for every guest in this hotel that needs something microwaved, so if they need their baby formula microwave. And they are in the South Tower, 32nd floor. They have to come downstairs, go across, and go to Pronzo, and go back upstairs. By the time they get upstairs, the baby's 32 years old. That's some of the comments we're getting. If we can do those in the vending area, have a microwave there, I think we would save a lot of guests' frustration. Closer themes in the rooms. If we're going to do some of these Tuscan themes, maybe we could have some Tuscan themed suites. Not just have regular Hilton rooms, but maybe we can theme them up a little bit. Maybe the artwork in the room should be a Tuscan artwork. I know some people shake their heads, and these are just ideas as to whether we can or can't do them. Place 2 wine glasses in all the rooms. Right now we only have the tumbler glasses. And probably on a Saturday night we can get anywhere between 20 and 50 calls in room service to get glasses brought up to the room again. Everybody brings a bottle of wine for their romantic evening in Niagara Falls. They want wine glasses to it. Place them in the room, we don't have all that productivity for going back and forth. Okay, for the food and beverage outlets. Remember what I said at the beginning of my statement, guys? Room service, more options, menu. Longer time for service suggested an option with 24-hour access. Maybe in high season, those 4 to 6 months of the year where we are extremely busy, to have it doesn't have to be a full menu, but a 24-hour limited menu. Okay? Rasa, why change something that's working so successfully at this time? Need to monitor the competition as more steakhouses are opening in town. Fire pit outside didn't draw in any more guests. We all agree that the fire pit, if we're going to do something street side, it does need to be a wow. That's not a wow. Rasa is popular due to word of mouth and heavy advertising. No other restaurant has received the advertising exposure like Rasa. Everyone at the table was like, we could hear that Rasa commercial on the radio. It's funny, Carolyn says it comes on in the kitchen in Watermark constantly. You hear that commercial on the radio station. They've got the radio on there while they're working, and they keep hearing the Rasa commercial. No other restaurant in the hotel has that. The fixed menu price makes a difference. Everybody at our table was in agreement that fixed menu, they love that idea. Look and feel, in Rasa is seen as upscale. There's a huge difference between the way Rasa looks and, the way Pranzo looks. Rasa, you feel like you want to dress up to go out to dinner. You feel like there is an experience. You're going to get the wow factor in Rasa. You don't get that feeling in Pranzo. For Pranzo, Italian food is saturated in the area. Do we need another high-end Italian restaurant? Fine dining versus impulse dining, which one would be better for us? The goal to attract families. There's no wow factor currently in Pranzo, decor, atmosphere. The return on investments was commented on. Will this be obtained in an Italian restaurant? Can you get the average check high enough in an Italian restaurant? Discussed splitting the restaurant. For the Grand Cafe, the entrance in the Pranzo area doesn't work, it's sore on the eyes. The staff station there for clearing is right in the middle of the way. We discussed the Marché style restaurant. It's amazing, we have now 3 groups all discuss that style. The restaurant interactive question is, will people associate this with a buffet? And that was the only thing we were worried about. If you do that Marché style, do all of a sudden they associate it with a buffet if we go fixed price. Pasta table side service, not sure if it will work with the current layout. Guests associate the restaurant with breakfast and are looking for a different option for lunch and dinner. They've gone there, they've been to Grand Cafe now, they don't think of it as anything else, but this is where I had breakfast, so why would I go back there and have dinner? It's the same argument we have currently in Watermark. They go up there for Watermark for breakfast, those are the ones that don't come back for dinner. Dedicated breakfast area would be great, however this area would need to be used for other things. We are not opposed to a restaurant for breakfast, separate from every one of our other outlets. The only thing is it can't sit empty for 21 hours or 18 hours a day. It needs to be used for something else and be too valuable real estate.
Okay.
Yep.
I never thought maybe using that space for groups for lunch and stuff, or opening Watermark for private lunch or something like that, as opposed to.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It can be used for private space for functions. I mean, a day, how many, in the 365 days, how many of those days do we have corporate groups, corporate lunches? That's what we'd have to look like. Watermark works well for us for corporate lunches because it's not open anyway. It's open breakfast and dinner, so now you can slip that lunch in there and you're making money.
Depending on the location of where it is, I was thinking about what White Oak says right now, which I think they do very well, like providing consistent coffee breaks for all the groups come to, as opposed to that continuous coffee break they do, as opposed to us providing separate ones that way. But a location like that would be used for some kind of sort of celebration.
Absolutely. I mean, one of our ideas too was make it into that executive lounge, have the breakfast there. You can have almost a separate area that can be executive breakfast, regular breakfast, but then make the whole thing almost like an executive lounge afterwards. Mercado, we honestly thought Mercado right now, as it is good. No changes required. That wasn't just me talking. This lounge, we think the Miss Lounge, other than 51, the Miss Lounge is the most underutilized space we have. Do we make it part of Watermark was a question. Do we use this as an executive lounge? Was an idea. Offer space is private dining area with chef's table for a VIP experience. We mentioned that we need to fix the dumbwaiter if we want to do this. We discussed the sushi concept. Overall, it was an agreement that it will ruin the experience of their watermark. And that was the odor. Teppanyaki sushi is very strong odors. And with that open the way it is, will flow down into the watermark. The watermark, the new menu, is good value. Upgraded wine list works, is in the works for changing that. More marketing is required both with external and internal guests for Watermark. We don't think Watermark needs a facelift at this time. It looks good the way it is. Spice Lounge, the windows open, draw in more guests, but at a warm temperature. And that's one of those things that you're never going to be able to fight the elements. If it's 95 degrees with humidity outside, then that's what you're kind of stuck with. All the furniture is too large, they felt. And this was coming from people that actually worked in Spice. They're very clunky, very bulky, and too large for the area. Lounge areas, I think, should offer more seats and tables. Okay. Menu needs to include healthy options. Everyone seems to be saying the same thing. Uniforms with boots and skirts works for the evening environment, but not for the daytime look and feel. Okay. Overall, all restaurants need their own specialty to support the resort look and feel. All-inclusive packages were brought up, and when Niagara Falls started, I think, the packages many years ago. It needs to now move and continue to, those don't really work anymore, but we think all-inclusive is the way of the future for this area. Advertise room and meals for locals. We do think we're underutilizing our locals. There are a lot of locals in the Niagara Falls area that have the money to come and spend here, and why not tap into that market? It's been taboo for years and years. Is don't go to Niagara Falls, you're going to get ripped off, and that's what our locals think. We need to change that mentality because there's so many times where we're sitting empty. Why sit empty when we can advertise specials to our locals? Option to offer guests to dine on site the first evening and receive a discount for their second evening was an idea, or a drink and spice. We do have a lot of times we focus on the package. And the package gives them one voucher one night, and we think that they're just going to spend the second night. But we're not really incenting them. So a lot of people say, well, we had our first night in the Hilton, let's go somewhere else for the second night. Incentive to stay inside. Give an overview and F&B brochure to guests upon check-in. I know Vince has been talking about this for years, and it's the passport. Just something that we can put in our guests' hands that are going to really give them the whole experience of traveling throughout, Italy or Tuscany. And this is something that I think we could do. We do a little bit of it with kids. It works with our kids. During March break, we do a little kids passport, and it gets the parents to bring the kids to all of our food outlets, and it works. We've seen that it works. People are coming in from all our outlets, all our restaurants. I think we could do that for all the adults as well. Common areas and amenities, conference. More space could definitely be used. However, the relationship with the Scotiabank Convention Center and Falls View Casino Resort would need to be evaluated. I mean, we have currently space across the street, and this is salespeople talking. And we have huge space in the convention center, and it's not full yet. So building space here, can we fill it? Will it get filled? Those are questions I think that need to be discussed and asked. Exhibition space, though, is a key. That was what we thought. A lot of corporate groups or associations have exhibitions.